Would you kindly? Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find? Would you kindly get this?
All of the battles you fought up to now were simply a part of my plan.
What is going on, everybody? Got a good video today. One of everybody's favorite type of videos, the collapes variety. If you don't know who I am, my name is Black Bond. You can check out my channel over here on the Black Bond. Prior videos include Val announced as a Switch Pro, Streets of Rage 4, Mr. X Nightmare DLC, Ease 9, Monstrum Nox complete. I can't believe I wasted my time replying to juvenile criticism on Weapon Wheel, and so forth. Now, if you like our podcast, Weapon Wheel Podcast, Sundays at 5:45, feel free to check it out. We do have a Patreon. Hey, 13 more people from last time, so we appreciate the support. Not required, but if you do like to check it out, we greatly appreciate your support. Now, yesterday's episode of the Weapon Wheel Podcast was a very intriguing and entertaining episode, talking about the Switch OLED, the Switch, Nintendo, and the Steam Deck. Got a lot of conflicting opinions and thoughts and things I just can't agree with that I'm going to have to further elaborate on because I don't want to take up half the podcast trying to own people and destroy them. So, I was being told that I am a handheld hypocrite. That I was talking down on Nintendo and handhelds and so forth. And yes, obviously, coming off the Wii U, who wasn't talking down about Nintendo? Hell, I was dead ass wrong. I did not think that the Switch would be anything successful, especially under the leadership of that man. But you know, things change, new leadership happens, new ideas come forth, got a new captain of the ship, and lo and behold, like I've been saying for the longest time, that would change Nintendo's fortunes. And to that, I was 1000% right. But where this handheld hypocrisy I have for Nintendo, I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. Because, oh, is this me? Is this me right here? With not only a plethora of handhelds, but the carrying cases that go with each and every one of them. We've got the Game Boy Color. We've got a Game Boy Advance SP. We've got an Ambernick handheld, which is important. I'll come back to that later. We've got 1, 2, 3 Game Boy Advances. So that's 4 Game Boy Advances in total. We have a DS Lite with an R4 DS chip. Homebrew. We'll come back to that later. We have the boxes for all these things. We have a Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds, Nintendo 3DS XL Limited Edition Zelda console. And the carrying case. We have a Nintendo Switch. Appreciate that, Smooth. And we have a hacked, modded Vita. Sold to me by yours truly, Holy One. That plays all of the old games, all of the retro games, all the PSP games, all the Vita games. It pretty much plays everything I can throw at it outside of a Nintendo 64. But I'm a hypocrite when it comes to handhelds because, one, I've always used handhelds. I've always supported handhelds. 2, the biggest thing is, I've always used Homebrew on handhelds. Let me repeat that. I've used Homebrew on handhelds. That DS Lite with the R4 DS chip, if you don't know what one is, you know, Nintendo back in the day wanted to file lawsuits over the R4 DSs because it allows you to install Homebrew. I can install any Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, any Nintendo DS game onto that R4 chip R4 chip, the R4 chip on the DS Lite. This little Ambernic console right here, I like it because it's the same size about of, you know, the Game Boy Advance SP, but it's way more powerful. And I can emulate everything onto this game. Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, WonderSwan, Sega, Sega Genesis, Master System, Sega CD, PlayStation 1. And then we have the Vita, which does all of what those two machines do and more. So, you're telling me that a machine comes out that can do everything you see in this damn picture and can do more than the Vita and more than the modded DS Lite. I'll still keep around that Ambernic because that Ambernic is nice and pocket sized. Whenever I travel on airports or anything, or I'm laid up at hotels, or I'm just chilling, I can always pull that out. Wouldn't be able to do that with the Switch, and definitely wouldn't be able to do that on the Steam Deck. Too big. I mean, look at the size comparison here, people. This Ambernic is the GOAT for portable traveling gaming. So why the hell would I not want a Steam Deck if I've been trying and doing what the Steam Deck can do well before the Steam Deck was even announced? That's what's funny, Blandrew. The things I want to do on the Steam Deck are things I've been doing since the DS Lite era and prior, and even up till now with the Vita and the Ambernic consoles. But I'm a hypocrite. That doesn't make sense, Blandrew. Doesn't make sense. Now, it makes sense that you're a hypocrite, but I'll get into that later. Now, as far as my Handheld Ghettos comment, people, let's be real. The Switch doesn't even have a quarter of the features that this machine in the Vita here has. I don't even think it has half the features that a PlayStation Portable has. It has no Bluetooth. It has crappy online. It still has no unified voice chat. Is the Switch even using usernames, or is it still using friend codes? It has no achievements. It has no video game capture. It has no streaming. It has no virtual console like the machines prior to it. Even the 3DS had a virtual console. If that's not the definition of ghetto, then what the hell is? I'm trying to game in the suburbs, Blandrew. Whether it's handheld, console, PC, or otherwise. I am the suburban savage. I am not the ghetto savage, or the ghetto goon, or whatever stupid name you could come up with. So yeah, the handheld gaming ghettos is a proper and accurate estimation on what the Switch actually is. Don't believe me? Ask the Valve hypocrites out there. You know, I can partly agree with you about PC gamers being hypocrites when it comes to the Steam Deck, especially the Valve guys, you know, because the Valve guys, they don't want to support the Epic Game Store because they don't want to support a product, a platform, or a storefront that lacks features, that lacks basic features and utilities and customization. And you know, I can see where they're coming from until they buy the Switch. Because like I said, you can't make complaints about the Epic Game Store and what it is lacking and then take your ass down to the ghettos, the handheld gaming ghettos of Nintendo, and say, hey, this is awesome. This is amazing. We support the ghettos when it comes to Nintendo, but when it comes to PC, oh, no, we can't be bothered with the ghettos. Even more funny is this, that these same Valve guys that won't support the Epic Game Store because of the so-called lack of features and customization and utilities that they support on the Switch, these are the same people that say they won't buy consoles, more powerful consoles made by Sony and Microsoft because they're welfare. And yet, they go and play on welfarized, ghetto, handheld, street-level, homeless gaming. So, hey, that is the Valve corporate slaves for you. They're people I don't like. They're people I don't agree with. They're people that are constantly contradicting themselves all the time. But let's talk about Nintendo fans and their hypocrisy, Blandrew. You too. So, the funny thing is, on Weapon Wheel, I brought up the main point, and the main point why I thought that the Switch would fail. And that was people didn't want to play console games on the go. Especially Nintendo fans that owned a 3DS. Shokyo told you. Jack told you. BG told you. That was the main thing going that Nintendo fans would always say. If I wanted to play a console game, I would just play it at home on my TV on my console. I want pick up and play games that I can just start and stop whenever I want. Whenever I close the case, the game stops. Whenever I open, it goes. I don't have time to be playing a console game on a handheld. And yet here we go with 100-hour RPGs and games like The Witcher 3 on your Switch that y'all have been praising so much. And when you actually do the calculations of a 100-hour Switch game with 6-hour battery life on the Switch, you're going to be charging your Switch a whole crapload of times to finish that game. Like, seriously. Like what, between, like... It's unbelievable, Blandrew. And then, let's not even go into the fact that y'all completely dismiss third-party support on the Wii U, saying that, well, we only buy Nintendo platforms for Nintendo games. If you want third-party support, go buy another platform. Oh, okay. But now that, that man is gone, and the Switch is getting, fairly decent, sufficient, not amazing, third-party support, now it's all important to you. Imagine that. But let's go to the Wayback Machine. After the Vita's failure, why do people now want console gaming on the go? The first console launch I ever covered was the PlayStation Vita, so I remember those heady February winter days. It was 2012 and message boards were aflame with complaints about the infamous online pass and things saying about smartphone apps were in the vogue and the media was telling us how they eventually crushed console gaming for good, blah blah blah. But then there was this nugget. Why would you want to play Uncharted on a handheld? Unbelievable. Most hardcore gamers would rather play a higher quality console experience on a big screen. And yet, last week's Nintendo Switch release of Doom, I brought this up in chorus of the chirpy Mario Link and Metroid avatars, and can't wait to play the very console-esque experience on the go, they sang. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been sat here with a scrunched face for a while now. I honestly didn't think this is what anyone wanted. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. So, if we really want to talk hypocrisy, Blandrew, and hypocrites, Blandrew, talking about who wants a Vita, Blandrew, I want to play handheld games on the go, not console games on the go, Blandrew. That's funny. But I'm a hypocrite. Because I said, I wanted a Steam Deck. I could play all my old and retro games on it. I could play every emulated game on it. I could homebrew it. I could put Windows on it. Things I was doing with the R4DS, a hacked modded homebrewed Vita, Ambernick handheld console. Things I've already been doing well before the Steam Deck, Blandrew. But when I get a better version of what I've already been doing for over a decade, Blandrew, When did the DS Lite come out? Let's Google this real quick. Let us Google DS Lite. We need a year. 2006. 2006. Unbelievable. You can't make this up. So for 15 years, and plus, because I have one for the Game Boy Advance SP as well. So for 15 plus years, I've been doing the homebrew thing, the emulation thing, the do my own thing on handheld portables, upgrading from the SP to the DS Lite to the Vita to having an Ambernick. And yet, 15 plus years later, everybody, a machine comes out that can do everything and more, while also including my entire PC library, while also including a fully functional Windows operating system comes out. But I'm a hypocrite for calling the Nintendo Switch a handheld gaming ghetto when it still does not have a fraction of the features that the Vita has, let alone the PlayStation Portable. You can't make this shit up. You can't. 2021, still no Bluetooth, crappy online, no unified voice chat, friend codes I don't know, no achievements, no game capture, no streaming, no virtual console, but I'm a hypocrite for downing the Switch on being handheld gaming ghettos. That is not an opinion. That is not a statement. That is a fact that the Switch is a handheld gaming ghetto, Blandrew. Deal with it. Now, as far as this whole, you're all pro Sony, this, that, and the other, you know, it's funny to me. When I was playing, you know, Return of Samus or Samus Returns on the 3DS, you know, a game you didn't play. When I was playing A Link Between Worlds, which I never heard you talk about. When I was playing all these 3DS games on my channel, posting reviews on them, talking about them. When I was saying that, you know, Fire Emblem Three Houses was a Game of the Year contender. When I beat Xenoblade Definitive Edition, Chronicles, whatever. When I was playing Breath of the Wild. When I was playing all these games, it wasn't an issue for me to give positive press to Nintendo. Mario, what the hell was that? Mario Odyssey, whatever. But when I enjoy PlayStation games, then y'all get upset. For some reason, me playing good Nintendo games don't make y'all upset, but me playing good PlayStation games, that hurts you deep. And I don't even know why this is. I don't even need to know why. I know why. Because a homeless company, or a company that was about to go homeless, go on welfare and everything, that was about to be out of business and selling, that people thought, came back, pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, crawled out the mud, and laid the smacketh down it on all your candy asses. And y'all can't handle that. That even at Sony's worst, even them blowing both their kneecaps off like Kid Smooth said, Sony still beat out the Xbox 360. Still sold 80 million plus, and they turned it around, and they've been stomping a mud hole in your asses ever since, and y'all can't handle it. And I didn't even play much PS3. I barely played any PS4. And I barely to this day even play any PS5. But lo and behold, I stream some of their top tier, better games. Why you talk about Xbox like that? Because y'all Xbox and Nintendo fans don't have them kind of games. And that to me is just absolutely hilarious. That's not my problem. That's your problem. I'm Black Bond. destroying hypocrisy, liars, and frauds on the daily. You guys take it easy. Have a nice day.
That is what separates knuckle-dragging half-wits from a beacon of enlightenment like myself. Silence!